Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Martyr. Mazer.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Sofa.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Zimmer.
Here.
All right, first up, non-agenda items from the sidelines. Ennis Ayer,
Yes.
if you would.
Hi, my name is Ennis A.R. I'm the
Please
new-
stand up for
Oh,
us.
I'm sorry.
You go up there.
Oh,
Take the podium if you want. You don't have to, but.
my name is Ennis A.R. I'm the new owner of the Memphis pub. As you guys probably all know, we are opening up a marijuana dispensary. And I am just asking if we can extend our business hours maybe until 10 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. A lot of businesses around here are open until later on. The business across the street, I think, is open until 2 p.m. And I would really like to open until 10 p.m. It's not for the city, but it is for the highway that, the 69 highway that comes across. A lot of people have jobs that use that highway, and I think it would really be beneficial to open until 10 p.m. And that is my request.
Thank you.
Yep.
Donna Harper.
I'm representing Judy Kendall. She had back surgery and isn't able to be here this evening. She was wondering if she could get an update on how the flashing speed limit signs are going that Chief ordered, where we're at with it.
You have the first one up, the pole's in today, I'm mounting it tomorrow.
Excellent. Good, thank you.
All right. Bart?
Yeah. Oh, hi.
What do you got?
I think, Larry, you want to cover
Yes,
that?
I'm not counting those.
Okay. Nothing tonight, other than I just mentioned that.
Question about
Speed
this,
limit.
the flashing speed limit sign, and that you're looking to put in a 4-inch post in the ground.
It's in the ground.
Now, is that an issue with it being in the right of way of the road to post that size? No?
Unless you hit it.
Well, lads, I'm just wondering, you know, you put something like that in the right of way, generally, I see these things are just mounted on your typical, kind of like T-post.
Well, that's what I see. But they recommend you to use 6-inch post, actually.
Okay.
The company with
We're going with
supplied the equipment.
6-inch aluminum then.
Aluminum, yeah. I just wanted the 4-inch galvanized fence post.
And
if you will.
that's to facilitate mounting the solar panel and.
To hike. Yeah, if you go to K-Pack, they got the same thing we have,
Right,
and they just put them on standard sign posts.
right.
You're gonna walk into them and everything else, it's just,
Okay.
you know.
So
Now
we
Richmond,
can-
for example, they plan to relocate theirs is just maybe just battery powered, and they keep batteries charged, and they keep swapping them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doug?
I don't have anything for you tonight.
Judy?
Yes, Parks and Rec is going to have another all-day game day, February 20th at the Lions from 9 to 5. You can come and play cards. Leslie Henley is gonna do a little, if you have problems with your sewing machine, you can bring it up there. She'll show you how to work the tension and do stuff. And if you want a scrapbook, you can do that too, plenty of room. So that is February 20th at the Lions. And then next week on Valentine's Day, Parks and Rec is doing a senior lunch at the library, and we're gonna have a Valentine bingo with that. free.
Great, thank you.
What time is the game day start then?
Game day starts at 9 a.m. and that is a $5 donation. And I'll have lunch.
Thanks, Judy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, our agenda. We have to make an amendment to the agenda to add reviewing the marijuana ordinance changes and having a committee review the changes that have been made to make sure that everything's copacetic. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Support.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr.
Yes. Approval of the regular meeting minutes from January 3rd, 2023 and January 16th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for January 16th and January 3rd, 2023.
Second.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr, Mazer.
Yes.
Okay, presentation approval of the January disbursements report. Excuse me. $339,640.29, and the electronic wire transfers of $11,914.17. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Communications, can I get a motion to put the communications on file, please?
So moved.
Support.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa.
Yes.
A letter here from the Memphis Historical Society asking to use the council room for their meetings in January 2023, on January 26th, February 23rd, March 23rd, April 27th, May 25th, June 22nd, July 27th, August 24th, September 20th, October 26th, and November 16th. All of the dates are on the fourth Thursday of the month except November, which is a week early to Thanksgiving. And they do not have a meeting in December. This is signed by Anita Levinsky. Can I get a motion to allow the Historical Society to use the council room?
I'll make that motion and we allow the Historical Society make the dates as stated.
Support.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
All right, next up, unfinished business, Finance Committee recommendation for overpayment of fire department officer. Jason, you want to touch on this?
Well, I think me and Larry both worked on it, and we, along with the chief, we came to an agreement that, because of the discrepancy, the problem really would have been if we would have taken it to correct it, it actually would have cost the city about as much as we had already spent on it. So what we came up with is he's basically gonna kind of work it off with the part-time hours, and the chief's gonna keep an eye on that, and, he's probably been already doing it.
He's already been doing it.
So, we're basically making a motion to allow for that.
I'll support it.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Can I make just another comment there? Doug, I know you mentioned, you know, your new furnace and air conditioner, and you said it was approximately $9,500.
That was the first quote we got. I've since gotten another one for like 7,800 or so. Yeah, it was, the air conditioning was on its last legs last summer.
The furnace itself is,
And the furnace is,
what, 1996?
I've been on the department for 19 years now, and it's the same furnace that was there when I started, so.
That was I'm roughly 96, 97.
So, are you putting out for more estimates?
Yeah, we're,
Okay.
I got them in
The
here.
other thing is that stove problem.
We have-
Are you gonna do anything on that?
we've solved that problem.
Oh, you
Oh,
have?
really?
Yes, evidently that stove, when it was purchased, is set up for propane rather than natural
Oh,
gas.
had the wrong orifices in it.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, so the little thing has to be changed.
yeah,
With that.
so we have, it's in the works getting the new orifices to put in.
Great.
Okay, well, I just wanted to mention it, and maybe get a recommendation that, you can do.
Okay.
That's okay.
Can I get a quick question in on the financials? I was a little slow on the draw, went right by it
Yep,
real
no,
quick.
that's fine.
Just run. I just wanted to get a little more, an understanding of, I was wondering, down what clean emergency is, all like the $8,500, what that business
I
is.
can explain that.
Pardon?
I
Okay,
can
please
explain.
do.
Normally, we buy 2 sets of turnout gear every year, new sets to replace old. This year, we also had a set that was damaged in a fire,
I read that.
so we bought 3 sets. That's what that amount of money is for.
Okay.
The set that was damaged has been reimbursed by our insurance company.
Okay, very good. And real quickly too, I see there was a lot of the UHY LLP services auditor. Is that what is
That's
that?
her auditors, and it gets split between all the departments.
I see, that's why it's in different
That's why
places.
you see it all over.
Is that an annual or?
That's every time they do our audit.
Oh, okay.
And then they do a couple reports for us too, for
Okay.
the state.
And then just one last thing on the capital out, or the bill for our, is it BSA, the computer support services?
Mhm.
Is that a monthly bill, $447, or is that?
I think that was just, no, I think that is, where, is it under assessing?
Yeah, assessment
Yeah,
software.
that was his, for his program that he uses. It's a yearly,
So it's just a one-off during the year?
yes.
Okay, just trying to understand that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Mhm.
Yeah, so did we leave off and get a motion on the,
The overpay we did.
okay.
So we're number 2 now. Unfinished business.
All right. Ordinance enforcement officer. Anybody want to touch on this meeting?
Yeah. Eric, do you want to do it, or you
No.
want me?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. At one of our meetings there, or a couple of meetings, we have discussed that enforcement officer, and I think this was the last meeting we had for Eric and I to look into that. So we want to, but we have to have approval from council to proceed with hiring an enforcement officer. So that's what we'd like to do tonight, get approval from council, and Eric and I then will start proceeding with it.
So once we make a decision to hire enforcement officers, then we put it out for bid, or?
I think we'll just look at it and see what, I've checked with other townships, or I had done, I checked with other townships, and I have a little more information on that.
May I
And,
ask a question?
Go ahead.
I've been here over 30 years, I'm not quite sure why you want to hire an employee to do something that was always done in the past, internally,
By who, Bart?
by the
Historically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the police department isn't really gonna do it because they like to separate. He talked about it at the last meeting, and it's pretty much for blight and code. It's a little overshot. It's just in most places.
He said
The police
commercial.
don't handle it. In the way our ordinance is written, the police handle the commercial, commercial code enforcement. Yeah, commercial code enforcement, but not residential code
To hire
enforcement.
another employee to, I don't see the big deal
It
in
would
that
be-
myself, but
Well,
I really
he's got the payment. If you go on, you'll say like,
Well,
he's planning to pay
there's,
for it maybe.
well, there's two ways. Some are in a monthly retainer, and then some are just set with the per enforce, or per, like a blight or something.
So if there's a request, then they, it's a $35 fee for them to
Yeah,
call,
for,
or-
yeah,
So it would be,
to investigate and enforce the.
so we wouldn't be putting some on the payroll,
No.
but we would have somebody, it's like, okay, well, we've got a request for somebody to look into this and make sure that the code is being followed and
Right.
then and/or serve notice, okay.
It's not just blight, it's ordinances.
Yeah.
Ordinances, and,
Yeah, well, yeah,
Your
blight
fence-
is
fence
included,
lines
but
or
it's
whatever.
it's saying the enforcement of any of the ordinances.
And this would be
So
including
an
zoning
ordinance,
practice also,
ordinance enforcement officer, not just a blight enforcement
Yeah.
officer.
Yep, so zoning enforcement, yeah.
Now, and then I did include I did do a sample of, and this kind of relates to the one that we've been questioning all over.
Right,
I
exactly.
just, and this is just a sample, it's gonna be fatigued and changed or whatever, and I did do that too, so. But the first thing we want to do is, I do have to approve, or we do have to have approval from council to proceed.
Okay, so if you want to make that motion to proceed with looking into putting an ordinance enforcement officer into,
Yeah, I'll make that motion then that we proceed with hiring an enforcement officer.
I'll second.
Martyr,
yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer.
Yes.
Next up, marijuana ordinance review. Having a board put together to review all the changes that we've made and make sure that everything is good and our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed.
Yeah, I did review that word for word. I looked at the one where he crossed out everything, and then I looked at the final ordinance that he had there. I did find one error in how some are numbered, but I think it's a consensus that we should probably have a special committee just to look at it more thoroughly. I'm suggesting Eric and maybe myself and either you or Jason, and we'll look at it and bring
Between
it back
us
to,
three,
bring
we
it
can
back to
meet
council.
at least.
Pardon?
Between us three, we can at least meet
Yeah.
during the day.
So,
Yeah.
you okay with that, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did notice that he zeroed out the provisioning center. Part.
Yeah, he did. I think he addressed all the issues that we brought up.
I thought so too.
And I think he added a couple more in there that are to our advantage.
Right.
But I think the three of us could look at it and then bring it back to council. If that'd be my recommendation.
Okay.
And I'll make that motion.
What about extending the hours or not?
We can discuss that at the meeting if you want as well.
Well, that's my question.
Was it, my understanding, Tyler, or what else, was pretty much just limited the activities to the two businesses that we have in town now and all the ancillary businesses
Yeah,
are done?
that's correct, but then it also has in there, one of them does build a business, that don't automatically mean that we're
Right,
gonna
I
go
saw
back
that,
to two.
yes.
Yeah, because that,
So
that was a
That
court
was a
order.
special condition that one was added.
Well,
so-
that was a court order in which we had to,
Yeah, that was appropriate language, okay.
so anyway, I made that motion, and the three of us went to it.
Get support on that?
Support.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr.
Yes.
I just make one other comment. This is the ordinance on establishments. There's also a zoning ordinance. And I think we'll discuss that too. There's a couple of things I'd like to correct on that as well. So, but we can discuss that and we'll bring it back to council, okay?
Did that meeting.
Next up, new business. Text Mike Gov. So, somebody want to touch on this? This is,
I think the advisory.
Advisory.
You want me to talk?
Yeah, So the advisory committee met after Donna and Eric had met with TextMyGov. It's basically an app platform that can push messages out. So for the Parks and Rec stuff, people that are signed up, we could push a message out to everyone who signed up for TextMyGov saying, on this day at this time, this is happening. There's another feature where people can report things back, where, for example, if there's a pothole, someone could text pothole to whatever our code is, and then it will respond with, call Bart, or, I mean, basically that's what that one would be. But it would respond with directions of where they can get information. The system is very robust in what it allows. There's a lot of good things to it. I talked to someone from Royal Oak who has TextMyGov. She said implementation of it was very easy. The platform itself is very easy to use and set up. Her recommendation was to work with TextMyGov and use their recommendations, because somehow they know what the majority of people are going to text in for your city size and things like that. The reporting features of it are fantastic. So in Royal Oak, they use it for if they get a bunch of messages about the parking ticket meters. Well, then they know they can go to the vendor of the parking ticket meters and say, hey, we're getting 70% of our texts are coming in about these meters, like, we need to work on this. What came to my mind was, and I don't know about everyone else, we had an issue last year with our trash and glass being broken around our trash cans. So if we had this in place at that time, people could text in and say, hey, there's a bunch of glass around my trash cans, and then we could have went and talked to Mterra or whoever our trash supplier was then and said, hey, we're getting all of these messages, what's going on? So it's a tool for us as much as it would be for notifying citizens of things happening. The other thing I learned about today is you can stack responses. So what I mean by that is if someone texts in just something random, one response can be, is this for information or is this for reporting? And if they use certain keywords, like our response could be, say, reporting or say information. If it's information, they'll get the information. If it's reporting, it'll give them the information to report a problem. So you can stack your responses based on what people are saying. So overall, I think the takeaway from our meeting was that it would be very beneficial to the city. There is a cost associated with it, obviously. For 2 years, it's what was the total? $8,750 for 2 years. That includes implementation.
How much was that?
$8,750
When
for
we
2
implement
years.
this, does it mean you're not gonna call me or Bart? Or
Well, there's-
Eric, or?
Oh, you're all eventually gonna get the calls.
Well,
I get the calls now, so I don't see anything benefits to my department.
but I mean, it depends, because there's no one here after 5 o'clock for them to reach out to.
No, that's
Not,
okay.
not City Hall.
Right, so they couldn't call and ask
That's pretty
Donna or
crazy.
Amber a question.
I think it's a great idea, but we could probably find a similar solution cheaper, especially now, like new tech comes out all the time.
Right.
You could get someone to basically put a chat, it sounds like a chat bot, and,
Pretty much.
there's a lot of those out there, where you can tie them into a Google number, where somebody just calls in a random Google number, or text a random new Google number.
Right.
And they will
Right.
get the same function and features, but.
This is the only one that I knew of, so I didn't even look into the other ones.
For larger cities, I
That's just a lot of
possibly could
money.
understand that, but I know, busy as my department is, that most people know my number, and if they don't know my number, they know where I live. So-
Okay, so let's look at a different way. So let's say you have a water main break.
Yep.
You will actually have a map at your, available to you. And you could actually say that, these 3 streets are affected by this water main break. Everybody who signed up for it on those 3 streets, you could send them one text message and they would all get it. Or look at it another way, with the trash, instead of somebody calling the city office, they could text trash to the system And the automated response would be for them to, hold on,
No, I'm
for them to receive the phone number that Terra gave us to call them when there's a problem with trash. So instead of having the city office get bombarded with.
I just heard $8,000.
The first, that includes the first year, which is the most.
Yeah.
Has all
The first year
when they
is
broke it
included
down,
in
it didn't sound like
implementation.
that.
It's, when you break it down by month, it's $365 a month,
Divided up
basically.
between,
So if you can divide that between,
By 24 months, same thing?
for 24 months, yeah.
between
If you can divide that between how many, you said, I think you said there's 4 departments, 5 departments?
I wasn't sure if the fire department was already on the WIN system with St. Clair County. So you guys already have the ability to send out and receive text messages or no?
We don't receive them, but
Okay.
unless you're signed up individually.
Right, so it would definitely, you know, I'm sure the fire department could find things to do. And I mean, you know, we don't have all the answers, and I'm not sure what all the links would be, but it's pretty much unlimited. So any keyword that you wanted to use, you could tell people to, you know, whether it's, you know, there's water coming out of the ground on my street, they could text in, you know, possible water main break, and it would send a text message to Bart to let him know that there's a water main break, automatically, without anybody actually having his phone number, or,
I've gotten 911 calls for them.
well, it also sends alerts out too.
Right.
For like council updates, when there's meetings.
I like the idea only because we've been hearing a lot, like, people don't know what's going on. And this is
Right.
one
It's
way
very
to
transparent.
get the word out there and say, there's a council meeting, you know, like, you know, Steve's been doing it on his Facebook page, so if people aren't following it, they're not hearing about it. You know, it's real easy for it to just be automated and say, here's this, here's what's going on, and anybody who's subscribed to it, I think it's a good idea. It's just maybe there's another service that we can shop around.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, new tech comes out all the time, it
Bulk
should be getting
email.
cheaper.
Bulk email.
What's that?
Bulk email.
Hmm?
Bulk. Mass
Bulk-
email.
Bulk, mass email,
That's
you know.
about free.
but-
But somebody would have to run it.
Yeah.
Run
What?
one.
So,
To
You're gonna
send
send out a
out, to
custom
send out
message,
all
so-
these alerts.
If
But
there's
we-
something.
And the answer.
What
all the
the other way,
messages
though?
are preloaded.
Huh?
what about the other way?
Which way, sir?
If they're trying to get a hold of the city office at 6 o'clock in the evening and no one's here.
Where does this come from?
You know, I've been in IT a long time, right? That's my
Yeah, no,
forte,
that's
you
why,
know, so-
that's why I'm asking you.
You have to have, for one, a community gonna use it. If I have a problem with the city, if I have an issue, like if I have a problem with trash, I'm calling trash. If I need a phone number, I'm going to your website. People know how to do that. Kind of like, I feel kind of like Michael Dell's 3Cs thing. You need a community to use it. You know, I'm not gonna text the city, you know, like Michael Dell's famous speech about he has a commodity.
I don't even know what that is,
he
so
has
you're.
Yeah, well, these guys might not,
Okay.
you know.
I don't even.
So you have to have community. The community is really small, and to have these automated responses, I see. I don't see the value in that at all. I see we have. I mean, I can see it in a larger city, but not in a small city like ours. I mean, we still have a website with no domain. We don't have information on the website, and there's a better way to hit everybody. If we don't sign up for it, we're not involved in it. And $8,000. I mean, my opinion, I just sat with you guys with the dispensary stuff about how bad the city needed money, and we're trading dispensary stuff for that much money. It doesn't make sense. I will volunteer my time to help find other solutions, but one that can accomplish. You know, I'm at a very large IT company. I work with many public companies and municipalities for years and years and years, and this is an area of my expertise. And I wouldn't charge the city for my time to help them find a solution they're looking for.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Mark.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Judy.
So I do like the text idea, Mark, because I work with seniors and they don't know how to use Facebook and they don't know how to go to our website, but they know how to get a text and they know how to send a text. So if I could have them, like
It can be
Parks and Rec,
incorporated,
just,
like
you know,
Jason was
text.
saying, a
There's
different
chatbots
solution.
out there that do that.
Yeah, there's other, there's things I mean, it's a lot for a small town.
Honestly,
to-
I looked one up for my business Facebook page. And I think you can tie it in with SMS, which is text. You can tie it in with email, and it just gives basic automated responses. So it gives me an idea. If I don't get the message right away, it responds to them, And then if they say something that's a keyword, it responds with another question, so that when I get back to it and I see the message, I have a little heads up on how to prepare myself for my call. And they're out there, and they're not that much money. They're really not that much at all. I'll look into a few more of those.
I can look too.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I can try to find some other ones. Like I said, this was just the one that was.
The one that we.
It was just an informational meeting, we're just letting you know the information.
Okay.
It's $3,500 a year, it's $1,750 to set it up, 50% of the total cost.
So this is.
It's 25,000 messages per year, and if you go over the 25,000, I think it's like another $300, $350, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and this is something to look into. I mean, at this moment in time, like I said, it's one of those, it's like, you know, after 7 o'clock, you know, it's kind of like everybody knows that I'm working during the day and I get phone calls and or text messages later in the afternoon or evening, you know, and it could be anything. It's like it comes from Bart, or it could be directing them to Bart,
Right.
you know. But, I mean, this is, you know, look forward, step forward into more technology and that. And Bart, thank you for your input.
And I look at it like that too. It's an opportunity for us to really, what is our as is?
Right.
Because we have website, we have other informational things, we have these companies that are kind of interested now, wondering how much do we spend already.
Right.
The combination, I've heard that voice, it might be well to look into that. We can come up with a complete package, but it's a good subject to explore, I think, and we can definitely use some progress in that area.
Yeah, the one I looked at was called ManyChat.
Okay.
And you can tie that in with a few different forms, and they're fairly cheap. They're not that much at all. Otherwise, I wouldn't have signed up for it.
I did not like when I did go to a couple cities and had it. It's just a small irritation, but they have their, if you accept them, they have their text.gov that's kind of an overlay on all your web pages. It's always there, and one that I looked at, it was right in the center of it, which made it very distracting trying to read the pages, which I'm sure is a small thing, and you could work around that with a company if you're actually getting to the point of setting up the text. But you are going to be advertising for them on every city page that we have on our own website at this point too.
So I don't think we need to make any move on this.
That was good information.
Yep. Okay, next up, item number 2, administrative memo number 2, budget amendments.
Can I discuss this a little bit, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Okay. The one I want to discuss is the DPW, and we purchased that truck when it came out, and we didn't have time. I didn't have time to bring it back to council, so we surveyed some of the council members to get approval. But I would like to make a motion to have, so it's on the books, both on the purchase and both on the sale of the boat. So I'll make those motions now.
Support.
Motion to approve the purchase of 2022 Ford F-250 3/4 ton pickup with a snowplow for the amount of $44,205.
44,205.
That's what he said.
That's
That's what he
what
said.
My ears, I'm
that's
sorry.
with the snowplow.
He talks quiet and you can't hear.
Yeah.
I'll try to speak a little louder.
I thought it was
Truck and plow.
Yeah.
That was a 3/4 ton there.
Yes.
Support.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer.
Yes.
I'd like to make another motion to approve the selling of the 2010 Ford F-250 3/4 ton pickup with snowplow and the proceeds to be deposited in the DPW equipment replacement.
Support.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr, Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
And the other ones, there's different other ones in there, and there's some up there under the notes, so I'd like to make a motion to approve all the adjustments under administration manual number 2.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the $271 for the police included in the vehicles and gun purchases? The first note?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know
It's
that
in
it went
there. Yeah,
over
okay.
271, so I'm taking that out too.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
that includes everything mentioned.
And this is part of something that Steve brought up earlier, you know, with the purchase of the turnout gear. That's laid out in here as far as moving the money around the cover where it needs to go.
No. Anyone support?
Support.
Wilson?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Zimmer?
Yes.
Martyr? Mazer?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Sofa?
All right, next up, Planning Commission. We're looking to appoint Ken Riley to the Planning Commission for this term, July 31st, to expire July 31st, 2023. He's taking the place of a member that has decided to leave the planning. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Weaver?
Yes.
Zimmer?
Yes.
Martyr?
Yes.
Mazer?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Sofa?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
All right, Planning Commission. Steve, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay, I sent you an information thing on what we've been working on, and we're going to meet next week, and one of the first things we took
This
on
week.
was the language, pardon me?
This week.
This week, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Oh, time flies. Well, basically, I was looking for a little direction, that's why I sent the information out to you all, the language to clarify what the C1 district is, since we have had, a lot of, questions about it, and I'm just trying to get a good idea of what the council would think of this. And if you go right to the last, I have 2 pages there, right at the 3rd paragraph from the bottom there, I think, I discussed this with Larry a little earlier, because we're just trying to get an idea of what the buildings in the C1 are and what they are considered, whether they were sold or resold, going from houses to businesses, businesses to houses. But I think if we in that language just say that in the district, that they're going to be considered 1A, we pass an amendment if we do, and we'll bring it to the planning commission, or rather to the council when we discuss it tomorrow. If we say that everything in C1 is considered, or rather, all the properties in the district are considered R1A with uses that are permitted under C1 and R1A. That would be pretty clear that if you own a property along M19 that we have designated as the C1 commercial overlay district, that is what we're considering all those properties at this point in C1. They are either residential or they're commercial, and anything that is allowed under those 2 definitions in our code can be pursued. I do think that we might want to consider a little bit more in depth as far as when businesses change hands, to make sure there's an inspection so that electrical and plumbing and all those things perhaps are up to date, but those are things that we can flesh out at the planning commission meeting. But basically, it was just what's our rock solid definition of what is allowed in this district, and under what we describe under C1 or residential R1A, that is the way all those properties are viewed from now on until any further changes come about. So that's pretty much the gist of what I was trying to communicate with that.
That is correct, is whatever is allowed in there in the C1, which is coexistence of residential and certain stated commercial.
And any special uses, as Larry said, would have to be brought before the planning commission, so somebody can't sneak in some of the issues that we're having in C1 right now.
Yes, that's correct.
And that would be prior to purchase?
Well, not necessarily purchase. I mean, if somebody could purchase a property, but if they want to change the use of that property, they're going to have to get a change of use. Okay, they're going to have to get a certificate of occupancy. They're going to have to state what they're expecting to do with that property, which is what we are now just trying to clarify with the migrant labor housing issue.
But how is that any different
In
from a
what-
couple years ago? Then
Well, it used to be,
What are we
we had
doing
residential
differently?
multiple was the designation. RM, residential multiple.
Residential multiple, there was no commercial overlay. And go back
the
to.
commercial overlays, but hasn't that been since
That-
when
that-
we did
that
the
was-
new
Yeah, that was
um,
back in.
2015 it
when
was
we did the
adopted.
new
Yeah.
plan.
Well, back in, I think it was 1998.
Correct.
And we had a master plan, And then we called it, and prior to that, it was zone RM, and we had what we called neighborhood commercial. Neighborhood commercial is now what we call C1 is commercial overlay district. So it's just a name and difference in terminology.
Yeah, back when that, in 99, 2000 area, when they adopted that master plan, that's when we brought a lot of the businesses that are, you know, the Party Store, the Arctic Queen, that were basically zoned residential multiple. And we brought them into, okay, you are now commercial, you're commercial, because they were, you know, the Party Store, Ninas, they were actually zoned residential. And so we brought everybody into compliance at that point in time. And then in the last cycle, in 2015, with the newest one, and yeah, you were part of that.
Right.
And that's when we created the commercial overlay.
Right.
So it was one of those that gives you the ability, say, me the ability, where I'm at, if I decide I want to sell my house as a commercial property, I can, without having to go to the ZBA or anything like that. Say an attorney wanted to open a business in my house, I could sell it under the commercial overlay, change it over to commercial property, but then they would have to be in compliance with everything that is commercial.
And that's right, so like how is it different? If somebody comes in and purchases a house, just like Sally said now, like they just purchase it and can do whatever they want with it. I mean, isn't that just what happened with the boarding houses?
We're gonna find out. when the
They
lawsuit
bought
goes
it and they just did what they wanted because they thought this was why.
Well, like Steve said, you can't
It's not
tell
any-
anybody they can't buy a property. So they're not gonna ask you permission to buy a property.
Right.
This would happen after the purchase. Nobody's gonna go to the city and say, can I buy this property in your
Right.
city? They should do their due diligence
But
before they buy.
Correct,
that,
but we're
you know.
2 years in to dealing with this and there's nothing in place to make that not happen.
Well, that's why we're trying to get this language.
I understand what you're saying, but I didn't think
Language
that it was saying the language was gonna be any
And
different.
then
I
even
didn't
he's
hear it.
adding,
That's what I'm not hearing.
he's adding if something turns from residential to a commercial use, it's gonna have to be inspected, certificate of occupancy, all that. Or vice versa, if somebody buys a commercial property and says, I wanna turn it into a house, they would have to have a
So there is,
But a
that's
single
putting a
family home being
position.
sold to a single
That's
family
what we're gonna be
home.
talking about.
And we're gonna have
Quite a
that,
bit.
we're gonna have that, okay, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it was sounding like it was just gonna
So
be.
now there's an
stay the
inspection
same.
period in between and everything,
Got
so.
it.
There's differences.
Well, and that's why they had to go for a variance, because it didn't fit the existing.
Right.
Zoning.
Which they were denied.
Yeah. It was-
Right,
Unfortunately,
right.
because of the work he did on
Right.
2015, if we hadn't had that change to a C1 to residential multiple, they may have been able to wiggle in under that,
Yeah.
But even
I'm just looking for preventative, you know, that's where I'm,
that's what we- yeah, we don't wanna go through
It
this
doesn't apply to
Right.
central business district,
Yes.
it's only the commercial
even
overlay.
the dump worker right now in Frank's old house, is that considered a commercial overlay?
That is in the commercial overlay, but the claim is they're using it as like a multiple or a boarding house, which doesn't fit into C1. Because we're using, it's either business or a house, not an apartment building, not a
20 of
boarding
them
house.
I got out of
not
a
a-
van yesterday, and I thought they weren't supposed to be there in the winter time.
Those,
Well, they can be there whenever they want until the judge says,
They
however they're,
can't.
yeah, I mean.
but he made it clear at the variance meeting that that Alice
That's
location.
different than what.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, that's not
different.
legally binding though, I mean, he could say they're there for a day and they can do that. No, he can say whatever he wants, it's not a contract.
You would think you'd do your due diligence
Before you buy it,
purchase.
right, no, for sure, I mean, it's.
And not just
Had
run
my
down
agent,
all-
I would've.
You know, yeah.
That's why we got a court case now.
That's, yeah, but.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's a good thing.
No action on that, correct? Correct.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. From the mayor. I really don't have anything that we haven't talked about tonight. Oh, wait, there is going to be a daddy-daughter dance on April 15th at the Lions Club, correct? Details are still to come.
I have nothing.
I have nothing tonight.
Well, looking forward to meeting with Leslie and the crew tomorrow. We're really trying to accelerate it. We may even talk about trying to meet more than once a month. We're going page by
And
page.
you know what, if need be, I mean, mean, it's.
It might be, but we're trying to take the more difficult things first, knock those out, but
Right.
we have 55 pages in that master plan, and we're gonna look at them all.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's like, maybe break it up over a couple of weeks, and one, if you spread it out over a month, you tend to forget, and let's see, let's back up again.
Yeah, there's a lot of details.
It's kind of like taking a recess for summer from school and having to come back and figure out where you're at again.
We are on it though.
But if we have to meet more than once a month, that would be fine too. Robbie?
Yes, I attended the advisory library board meeting today. So it's the first one I've been to in a couple of years, so they have quite a lot going on. First thing is they are in need of at least 1 or 2 more library board members. So if we can put the word out, our next meeting is in 3 months. And everybody got a list of who's on it and when the meetings are. And the meetings are not what's on paper. They meet every 3 months on the first Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock in the community center. And that's an open meeting, that's public. They wanted to know an update on Ken Riley and Bart were talking about putting lighting, better lighting upstairs, some LEDs possible.
Yeah, well, I know Ken was talking about putting lighting in the library. I know
It's the
Larry's intentions for that $15,000, that intent was to spend it over on the church to start.
It's the community center side.
Yeah, and Ken, I think, was talking about everything going over to the library.
I think he was talking about wanting to upgrade in the fluorescent lighting, the
Yeah.
LED, and.
Not that
They
it's not
said-
needed.
They said it's bright enough in the library, but I don't know
It's pretty dim in the church
if
and.
Judy could agree or not, but.
We need
they
lights
said it's-
wherever
it's-
they are. We
Down-
need-
Yeah.
We need them in the community
She
center.
said
we need them in the
downstairs okay,
library.
but it's upstairs where they really need it.
And we've
Yeah,
needed
we
them
need
for
up-
years and years.
They
Need
need that.
updating there.
And they
And
need,
it's been a
and
long
they
time
need
we've been
heat,
asking.
they need heat in there. And then, possibly if you can figure out how to get some water up there. And I know we touched on it 3 years ago, so I know that's something that's been tabled for a while.
As far as for a
Upstairs,
drinking fountain
or washing your hands even, or dumping
Oh.
out, they were emptying a pop can even, just,
yeah,
So
might
they-
be a way.
it's
that
just
they
a
can
question.
talk
They just
about
want to
that.
know, and they'd like to know how much
Years
is,
ago.
is there any money in their city budget?
You've got $15,000 allocated in the current budget towards the, well, it's basically the old church, but yeah, there's $15,000
Is-
there,
okay.
this current budget.
And that'll be up in July, so they would have,
And yeah, it's used for that facility.
I couldn't find it on.
As long as we could continue to put money and hopefully spend it each fiscal year to do some improvements in there. That's,
Well,
lighting is one.
That would be the lighting.
Water, I do now, I remember you did mention that, and I think
I remember all three of them.
currently, I
MED.
think there's a capability of doing it in that particular, you limit where you can put it at.
Yeah, I thought maybe a sub, they have, like they put in porta johns, where they got the water contained. Or
Yeah,
I wouldn't wanna dump it, but you got the elevator now. It's better than nothing actually, but
but no.
The elevator is a wonderful thing. We
They-
still
What's
have
that?
compliments on
they
that.
developed the
Yeah.
elevator.
People are using it all the time.
Well,
that's the
Strollers
word on it.
are using it.
Took a long time, but it's there.
And it is, people thank us all the time. I just want you to know
I've been
that.
working on that for about 25
Well,
years.
it's, we
Long
appreciate
time
it
coming,
now.
but it's definitely cool.
And the last thing is,
Hero days.
Right.
they would like permission, they're having a little event for Unity in June to August. They would like to have different groups from there, I guess, paint the sidewalk, using a semi-permanent paint.
Paint the sidewalks?
Paint the little squares, yeah, in front of the library. Probably those, for semi-permanent, I assume it's acrylic.
Are they painting pictures or
Yes.
are they artists or are they just?
Just for summer reading, just.
It's just a program.
Something
Yeah,
fun
for
to
summer
do.
reading.
I mean,
They
won't
could
last
paint
forever.
pavers.
Somebody,
It will last forever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not sidewalk chalk, it's whatever
Chalk.
you put down is gonna be there.
yeah, it's not like the school uses permanent paint.
Oh, this is permanent?
It's semi-permanent.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
you
school
get
paints
their,
the seniors paint their parking spots.
Yeah.
It's like that, but they're doing it with the sidewalk.
Do it
So,
on
you make
sidewalk.
so in other words, it would be like, it
Make it look like
wouldn't be an
pavers.
enamel paint, it would be basically a water-based paint.
Acrylic, you know, like you get those little bottles.
Yeah.
They'll probably get a lot. Anyhow, I didn't know if they had to come and ask permission, or if this is good enough, or if you is a problem with it, or.
DPW committee, right?
So,
That'd be a DPW committee thing.
so at least I know the budget.
Technically, they are.
I don't know, Bart, if you wanna talk to her about the lighting. I don't know if you wanna hear about the lighting, or,
Oh, I've already talked to her about it. If we're
okay,
talking about the, Carol?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I talked to her about
yeah, you like, yeah, 'cause she just told me about it
it.
tonight.
Yeah, nothing new.
Okay. All right, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Robbie. Tim?
I just have one. If we were gonna discuss this gentleman's request for the hours being extended from 8 PM to 10 PM, how do we go about that?
Well, that would
Is
have
that,
to be.
is that special committee talking
Yeah,
about it?
because you would have to look at actually making a change to the ordinance.
Right.
That would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
Could other people come to it, that meeting?
Yeah, you know, the meeting.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, I just walked in, I didn't
I understand
catch what he
more.
was referring to.
He bought the hotel.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and he was asking if he could, because when they put their proposal forth, they had certain hours, they said we'd be open from here to here. And
Oh.
what he asked is if he could just stay open a little later.
Anything else, Tom?
I live
That's it.
across the street and I don't care.
Thank you.
You can stay open, so you should.
I'll make it brief. So, at our DPW,
Excuse me.
we had a DPW committee meeting, and one of the things that we talked about was the sidewalks. According to our code book, the city's supposed to go around and assess the sidewalks, and there is a few spots that need to be repaired. So what we are proposing is that we would send out a letter to our taxpayers and let them know that we're gonna be going around finding just the worst, not a crack or you know, something that's not major, but there's some pretty major places where it's lifted and misaligned. And actually, according to the code book, our DPW superintendent is supposed to do it. So we'd like to send out a letter and to let people know that we're gonna be doing this, and Bart actually got a price to have,
Where the city would be doing the repairs?
Bart actually got a price for a contractor to come out and do, I think it was $12 a square foot,
11.
11.
or $11 a square foot.
Remove and replace.
Is that the same across driveways? Or is it gonna be a different?
Well, that's a
rate when you guys
6 inch
go
across side. This, I think, was just based on a 4 inch.
That's based on the 4 inch, so if it's across the driveway, it'd be a little different maybe.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Sorry to interrupt.
we'd like to send out letters, let people know that we're gonna be doing this spring, that if their sidewalks get marked, that they are responsible for repairing and replacing it. And if they don't repair it by a certain date, I'm thinking that if we send them out in the spring, maybe with the water bills, that we could let people know and give them the opportunity to get it fixed on their own. If they can do it themselves or get it cheaper. The company that we did get the estimate from, we only got one estimate, but they're the ones that did the sidewalks at the library and the approaches over there. And I was real happy with it. I thought they did a great job, and it was a pretty fair price. So, I mean, to me, $11 a square foot seems a little expensive, but it's just the way things are now.
And so for clarification on this one, and as my recollection of our city code is that the sidewalks are the homeowner's responsibility. If they fall into disrepair, they're to repair themselves. If they do not get repaired, then the city will do it at the homeowner's cost, and it will be put under the tax bill, correct?
Right, that's what it says.
Yeah, I think it
So this will
actually
give-
states that you notify them, you give them X amount of time, whatever X is, and then if it's not complete, then we have a contractor coming in. And in some cases, you know, there's a lot of damage in front of your property.
Mhm.
You might wanna go with the Memphis,
Yeah.
I think you'd save money in the long run.
Well, I did
For
the
a couple
math,
of
I did the
$5.
math, and like a 4x4 sidewalk block is
Yeah.
$175.
Yep.
Are we gonna have to do it to the new ADA sidewalks, or
No.
can we do it
No.
where we're at?
No.
No, we don't have to.
No, stick with whatever the existing width is.
I was gonna say, 'cause it'd be funny
I
to
tell you
like
what, if you go
hopscotch
down-
all the way down.
If you go down the Pratt Road on my side, I mean, I've got
They're
a
terrible.
couple, I got a couple of toe stubbers there. That, I use the cold patch on.
The homeowner owns the sidewalk,
Whatever
right?
we can, a
Well
grinder.
then, if that's the case, I want my sidewalk taken
Anyways,
out.
okay, cool, all right.
I don't want it.
Oh, do we ever, well, the city trees, if that needs to be, I think the city needs to remove trees. I don't think the homeowner should incur the cost.
Places where the sidewalk is getting
Because
pushed
we
up.
do
by
have our
trees.
share of the trees that's actually heating up the walks.
Yeah, over by Fisher's old house, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with that on a case-by-case basis, maybe when you're dealing with the homeowner.
By Dean or Steen. The house, yeah, Steen or
That's all I have.
Steen.
Making you aware.
Okay, good.
Well, maybe it's good.